God, man, that's all these things be happening. CMPRadio.net, man. You already know it's your boy Uncle P and my co-host Andrea B. How you feeling, Drea?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm breathing. I am breathing. Sometimes you just gotta breathe.
Facts.
Right? Through the midst of it all, you have to continue to breathe. So let's get into it, man. I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors, man. KC Electric, New Foundation Property Solutions, Northern Marketing and Design, Pressure Inc., Essential Rides, and hold on. I'm going to find all the names, right? Quan Knox Media and Reworld, man. Listen, they are sponsors. You too can be a sponsor. Hit us up at info@cmpradio.net. Well, we got an amazing show for you today. Yeah, man, we're talking about parents. How are parents? What is the word I'm looking for? Is gleam a word? Is that how our parents taught us or how our parents showed us, and not even knowing that they were showing us or telling us how to love and how we interact with others? We're about to get into this podcast
about
today.
To get really deep in here.
Yes. Please share this podcast. Please get this information out. We will have a call-in segment a little bit later. I'll put the number in the chat, and we'll go off of that. I don't know what's going on with this page right now. Reload the page. I'm trying to bring everything up. It keeps giving me the same issue, but it's live on Facebook right now. Anyway. Welcome back to Uncomfortable Conversations. I'm Uncle P, and I'm here with my co-host,
Drea B.
Tonight, we're diving into a topic that many of us don't talk about enough, our parental relationships. The truth is, the way we were raised, the love or lack of love we received, and the lessons our parents taught us directly or indirectly play a huge role in how we see ourselves, how we treat others, and even how we pick the people we love. That's real. This isn't about blaming mom or dad, right?
Thanks.
We're not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming dad. I'm not blaming mom. It's just about being real about the impact and figuring out how we move forward with healing, growth, and accountability, man. This is a real touchy subject, bro, because most of us just continue to live without knowing why, right? We continue to hurt, and what's the saying they have?
You can't heal what you don't reveal.
Can't heal what you don't reveal. So, we're not trying to throw anything or throw anybody under the bus, but we want to figure out what's going on. So, tonight we want to unpack that. We're going to talk about how parental relationships shape the way we interact with others. How those relationships influence the kind of mates we choose, and how we can break unhealthy cycles so we don't pass the same patterns down. You ready?
Yes, and again, I think this is a topic, even if you're not a parent, this is still a good podcast to be tuning into because, again, our parents are our first, relationships, and they help shape and mold us. And a lot of people don't talk about sometimes, we grew up a certain way, and hey, the way we grew up influenced, how we moved as adults. And this podcast is actually going to break it down, really deeply. I hope that some people call in and tap in on a chat. But this is not to blame anyone. This is not to make anybody feel bad. But this is a podcast for awareness, and that's the thing about this Uncomfortable Conversation podcast. It's all about awareness. It's all about having those conversations that need to be had, but often are not had because people don't want to be uncomfortable. But this is the podcast where you may be slightly uncomfortable with certain topics. However, these topics help you grow. You walk away knowing something that you didn't know before, and you're able to have another tool, in your toolbox. So that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about, man. It's about understanding, right? And uncomfortable conversations lead you to a place where you can understand a little bit more about how you grew up and what are you still carrying, the traumas that you still have. So let's get started. Uncomfortable question of the week. What did your parents teach you about love, and are you still carrying that lesson today? Drea, I'm going to let you answer that question, and then I'll come in and answer it too.
Ooh, I feel like I'm in a hot seat, but I always say when I'm on here, I'm going to keep it a beam.
Right.
I feel like with my parents, well, if you have tuned in, you know that I don't have a relationship with my mother. However, I feel like with both of my parents, they did the best that they could at their capacity. That's what I had to realize. Even with my mom, and her issues, she is very limited. Me and my father have a good relationship, However, there were times where we bumped heads, and I had to also realize that sometimes, for instance, when I was younger, I did not know how to properly hug. I know this is crazy because you're like, how did you not know how to properly hug? Because, in my family, we weren't really huggers. We weren't really physically affectionate. So that impacted me, in my friendships and my romantic relationships. And I remember having a conversation with my dad, about that. I felt some type of way about the fact that, I was a big grown age, and I felt like because of how I was raised that I was not the most affectionate. But then I had to realize, too, sometimes we are a product of the things we observe in our environments at times. Mm-hmm. So it's I had to consider what my dad's experiences are and why he may not be that way. Now, my dad is now a hugger and affectionate, but I felt like I modeled that too.
Right.
So, but it was very challenging because it's every girl, no matter how independent, how big and grown she is, every girl desires to have a great relationship with their father and a great relationship with their mother. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you one thing, not having a relationship with my mother has impacted me a great deal. Have I learned how to maneuver through it? Absolutely. But I will say her absence did shape me and some things not in a good way. So, but I'm aware of that. So this is the thing. When we already know that we have certain deficits because of the environment we grew up in, or just certain bad experiences we had, or a lack of experiences we had, that's when it's your responsibility, even if it wasn't your fault, to do the work to be better. I knew I wasn't an affectionate person, and I know that it impacted all types of relationships I had, and I wanted to be better. So, I did some work to be better in that area. Sorry, that was a long answer.
No, it wasn't a long answer. It was your answer, right? And I get that, right? When we think about how our parents loved us, I think we grew up in a time, I know I did. My dad was not really a hugger either. You feel me? But I knew he loved me, right? And looking back on it now, I see the love. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't see it. You feel me? It was always harsh and do this and do that. And listen, I used to sit at the table and write constantly and read. And if my handwriting didn't look right, my dad hit me he had a ruler, bro. Wow. And he smacked me across the hand. I hated him for that, right? I hated him for a lot of things. To a point where I had to go and talk to my therapist. Did I wish death on my dad? You feel me? He was like, no. Have you ever wished to hit the Powerball? Have you ever hit it? I said, no. Well, then you didn't wish. You feel me?
Right.
Things happen the way they happen, and sometimes when children are affected by them, right, they carry on that trauma. It's baggage for them, right? And that's how they love. So I had my mother teach me how to love other people. My mother was very forgiving.
Okay.
Was understanding, right? She will sit and listen to you. So I took more from my mother than I did from my father.
Okay.
But looking back at my father, my mother and my father's love was different, right? It was unlike any other love I've ever seen in my life, right? Because they both knew where they stood, and they didn't have a problem with standing on that line. You understand what I'm saying? So my mother was a forgiver, right? She would give, she would do, she would say, it wasn't nothing to demean you. It was always to get you to think. My dad would tear you down, right? From the root, rip you right up out the ground. And like, look, you got to survive like this. You got to do this. You got to get this done. I didn't realize the beauty in that until I got older, right? What he was preparing me for. My mother, on the other hand, coddled me. She held me. She rubbed me. So for me, I always say moms are nurturers, right? And that's how it works in the real life, right? Depending on the type of mother you get shows the type of love that you have for others, right? Period. Like your dad is supposed to show you how to be strong. He's supposed to show you how to protect. These are the models that we have or had back then. And like I said, it was generational, right? Because those models really don't apply right now because everybody can be whoever they want to be. You feel me? Like you're not a woman that likes to, all right, no, I'm hard. I'm a man. Like, but you're not. You're a hard woman, right? And that's because of the traumas that you experienced in life.
I wanted to make a comment, not to cut you off.
Go ahead.
So that comment you said, it makes me think about like everybody that's a mom is not necessarily maternal. There's everybody that's, a father doesn't necessarily mean that they have certain attributes. I think it's all about like your capacity, your experiences, because it's some people walking around that's like, wow, that person has kids. They're not warm and fuzzy. They're not nurturing. It doesn't mean that they're a bad mom, but the typical, oh, she's a woman, she's supposed to be nurturing. Everybody's not a nurturer.
Everybody's not a nurturer, and that's what I'm saying. Now you can be whatever you want to be. You can not be a nurturer. Let's think about, back in the days when we was watching TV shows. What types of mothers were on TV?
The nurturers, the homemakers, the homemakers.
Right. So if we run away from that and we say, all right, now what types of moms are on TV? Everybody has freedom to do whatever they want to do, right? And that kind of leads our children and our future. It leaves it in peril, right? Because no one wants to do the job they were designed to do. Everybody wants to do everybody else's job. Everybody wants to be in another situation. And I get it. Like I don't have a problem with anybody doing whatever they feel is necessary, right? Whatever traumas you have, whatever issues you have, whatever situations you have in front of you, you deal with them the way you deal with them. I don't have a problem with that. But if we're talking about moms and dads, it's one definition for one and another definition for the other. Can we agree to that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like I said, my mother taught me about forgiveness. That's why I forgive as easy as I do. That's why I allow whatever you want to do. God gave you free will.
You know what? This topic, this made me think. I was texting one of my cousins today. It's his birthday, and I was saying, happy birthday, cuz. And I was saying, cuz, I love the relationship you have with your daughter. You are giving her a childhood that she doesn't have to heal from. That was such a profound statement when I read that back, and I was like, wow. How many of us have we are struggling to be the best version of ourselves because we are trying to heal from things. And that's important. And I know some people might be scratching their head because I'm not a parent. But I think when you decide to bring children into this world, your goal is to give them a childhood that they don't have to heal from.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes that's not the case.
No, it's not. And if your child has to heal, you give them space to heal. I've never been the type of father that felt as though I got everything right because I know I didn't. I knew the type of man I was coming up, right? I was broken. You understand what I'm saying? Trying to be a father. I was broken trying to be a husband. I was broken trying to be a boyfriend. I was broken, right? And it wasn't no one's fault that was around me. It was how I perceived life. It was how I took life in, right? So when you go to therapy, and like we always say on this show, give it to them.
You can't heal what you don't reveal.
I had to reveal that I wasn't shit. I had to reveal that I needed work. I had to reveal that the things that I thought were good were really bad, and the things that I thought were bad were really good. Right? I had to reveal that I was upside down. And until I really sat with that, until I picked that up, until I understood who I was, what I was doing, what I was giving, what I was showing, until I understood that, I knew I couldn't do better. Right? So,
Okay.
Going to therapy really changed me, bro. It really helped me understand what was necessary, what had to change in the way I perceived women, and the way I loved on women, the way the types of friends that I had around me were also related to my traumas. You feel me? Like, so, that was a real situation, and I'm so happy I went through that, right? And guess what? I'm still going through it, right? It's not a one and done. It's not a patch. You can't patch your tire up. You feel me? You got to take that joint off. You got to look at it. You feel me? You might have to put it on another room. You might have to try to figure out some things, what works for you. And I'm still going through it. And the first time I went to therapy was over almost 10 years ago. It's 9 right now, right? And it's when my life changed. Honestly, you feel me? When I put what I wanted to do first before anything else, love inside of that, understanding how my dad loved me, not being a perfectionist, but getting it right. You feel me? Like, I'm not asking you for perfect. I'm asking you to get it right. And that's all my dad used to say to me, and it stays with me now, right? And with loving my son, he graduated high school. Said he didn't want to go to college. We sat for weeks trying to figure out what he wanted to do. He wanted to go into the Air Force. I know that the Air Force isn't a bad situation. I know that the Air Force isn't going to turn him into a monster or anything like that, but is that the best option for you? Right? Why do you want to go into the Air Force? I want to work on planes. You really want to work on planes? He said, absolutely. All right, well, let's try to find a school that's local that allows you to work on planes. Dell State has an awesome avionics curriculum, right? There's also AIM, right? So he didn't want to go to college. He said that. I wasn't going to knock him because he don't want to go to college. There's other ways to this dream. There are other roads, right? If we really think about things and stop judging people based on how somebody else got there, and think about what a person really wants. You don't want to go to college, but you want to go to school. You don't have a problem going to trade school. All right, let's figure out how we can get. I didn't know that school was up there. But when we went up there and I walked in there and he saw it and he fell in love with it, it was a wrap after that. Like, all right, this is what we're doing, 2 years. You feel me? Like, this is how we're going to get it done. You're becoming a man, right? So every decision you make right now is going to affect you. It's not really going to affect me, right? And I had to think about that. When I was out there selling drugs, those decisions were affecting me. Yeah, was my mom hurt because of it? Absolutely. But those are my decisions. And my mom loved me unconditionally. Constantly talking to me, constantly trying to get me to think more about myself. And I really couldn't at that time. Again, I was broken. I was hurt. I was used to confusion, right? And everybody that was around me was the same way. So when I thought about my son going to school, when I posted it on Facebook, bro. Like, I wanted to cry. You feel me? Because I gave him something that wasn't really given to me. An opportunity to understand who I wanted to be. You feel me? And a man to stand right there in my way. At 18 years old, I didn't have any men in my life. I didn't have a father. So I was lost. Yeah, men would stop by and try to talk to me, but if you're not going to be consistent with that, you have to be consistent with your direction. You have to show up every day, because that one day you don't show up, somebody else will. So for me, understanding what I was giving to my son and trying my best, that's really all I had. My daughters is the same way. right? When Taylor was going to college, I was on top of her. Is this what you want to do? All right, what do we want to do? Things fell off again, right? When you have two parents, you have two lives, two life experiences, life traumas, all those things that mess with you in your head. Mm-hmm. But we have to come together for this, for our child, right? So what's going to benefit our child, right? We can argue, fuss, fight, scream, holler, yell, call each other names, and disrespect each other, but is that helpful for our child? No, it's not. So what do you need from me, and what do I need from you? These are the questions that we need to have. And because I wasn't equipped with this bag that I'm carrying now, then I have a lot of disconnect. Because now it's like, oh, you changed. No, I didn't change. I'm realizing that what I was doing was wrong. So I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying to be here. But I can't be here if you don't let me. You feel me? So I learned how to love. I learned how to forgive. I learned how to give love unconditionally. It doesn't matter what you do for me. It doesn't matter how you help me. I still love you. I still talk to you. I still respect you. Now, that has a cap too. Because after I've given, after I've done, after I've received so much, if I don't feel like you're giving me the same things that I'm giving you, I shut the door.
Okay.
And that can, I guess, bring up whatever that brings up. Which is hard.
You know what? As I was listening to you, I'm thinking about, at least you didn't take the fact that you didn't have the opportunity to experience certain things with your father because he passed away while you were so young, that you didn't allow that to make you bitter or envious, because there are some people that be envious of their own children because the children had had opportunities that the parent didn't have. And I've seen that. I've
tried my best, because I can't give you everything. I've tried my best to put my son in front of men that can give him something. I try my best to understand that I don't have it all. I don't have all the answers. That's the first thing we need to say. As a father, I don't know it all. So I'm not going to try to be a master of everything, right? I'm going to know what I know. I'm going to know what I give. And I'm going to put you in the right position to be given and doors open for you to walk through them, because I don't have the key to every door.
And that says a lot about your personal growth and you not operating out of ego, because some people, like, you know, they be so caught up in their ego that they're like, nah, I'm not going to let you know I don't know this or whatever. Or it's the ego and the pride where it's like, hey, try to connect the person with, if you don't know, try to connect the person with somebody that does know. It's okay to say, I don't know, I don't understand, I need to run back and, you know, see what I can find from somebody else. Like, just being honest, it's like, but a lot of people can't do that.
Just this past weekend, I know I have ran across different people, engineers, right? People that work on planes, people that work at Boeing, right? Okay. So when I see them, like, yo, let me introduce you to my son, right?
Right.
Yo, truck, get some information from him, get his number, right? Because he can help you.
Right.
He can help you better understand the things that you are learning. I can't understand that stuff. Who am I as a man to rob my son of an opportunity? Now, if that person gets aggressive, or then I have to step in,
right?
Of course, right? Or that man tries to hurt you, then I step in. But if I put you in a situation, it's because I trust him, and I can have that conversation with whatever adult I put it. Listen, man, I'm asking you to talk to my son because I trust you, bro.
But it takes you to be secure within your role, because I've had times where I've like mentored, and I would have like a close relationship, and sometimes it's like, okay, you want me to be in your child's life, but you seem like you're a little jealous that your child looks up to me, and I'm just like,
why would you be jealous?
Why would you be jealous? Because I can never take the place of being a parent.
No, I don't want to.
But you know, if you entrusted me to play a certain role for your child, will allow me to do that. But I think it's great that you put your son in front of people that could, like, you know, help him to grow. You know, that's good.
I think that's our job as a parent, right? Is to stand in front of your son on the road right? The only road I can tell my son not to go down is the drug dealer road, right? Is the criminal road, right? So I'm standing there. I done built a whole blockade for this joker. You feel me? Like, this road is cut off. You can't go down this road. Pick another road. I don't want to pick another. Well, you ain't got no other choice. You ain't going to here. And at the end of the day, like, a lot of people will look at me and say, well, you know, you're being judgmental. Yeah, I'm judgmental for the things that he's going to go through when he goes down this road. I'm judgmental for the types of people he's going to find himself around. I'm judgmental about my son because I don't want him to do what I did. You feel me? I need him to be better than me. I need him to understand what love is. I need him to understand the difference between love and lust. I need him to understand the difference between helping someone, you feel me, and hurting someone. I need my son to understand these differences. So if I had to stand in front of him and put a sign up in front of me and say, I was wrong, this is everything that I had. Yeah, I had money. Yeah, I did things. Yeah, we went places. Yeah, we had things, but I got him the wrong way. Now look at me now. So this weekend he was out with us working, and he met a couple people.
Okay.
I put him in front of a couple people, right? And there are people in this community, right? You know, that every time, yo, that's my son. Like, I know you're a good brother. You feel me? Like, talk to him a little bit. What you got for him? Because everybody you talk to gives you something that you can hold on to.
Right.
You feel me? Can you hold on to a conversation? Can you keep a person close to you and call them when you can't call me? Because I don't have all the information, and I'm okay with not having all the information. So it gets hard, right? But these are the ways that we show our children love. These are the ways that we help our children. Are you doing this as a parent, right? Is it that bad? And if it is that bad, I say, and I'm not judging anyone. I want everybody to know that I don't judge anyone. But if you're dealing with traumas related to your children and not reaching out to other people to help your children grow, then you might need to go to therapy. Ain't no might. You need to go to therapy. You need to talk to somebody, right? And and I think that was another thing. Once I started talking to a therapist and understanding who I was and trying to change from being P-Funk, P-Feet, P. Diddy, right? And just becoming Pierre, I realized that like I said, I don't have the keys to every room. I have keys. I can open certain doors, but I can't open good doors, right? I can call a connect. I can get some money. I can do this. I can do that. I can go here. I can do that. But that's not the doors I want to open for my son. So, you know, and we were talking about earlier, not on this podcast, I was talking to somebody about agape love, right? And they were explaining that to me, and I was like, yeah, that's the kind of love I have for my children. You feel me? A father's love, unconditional love, loving them the hard way, right? Even when they mess up, getting them to see, like, listen, you can do better. I need you to do better. I need you to want more. I need you to expand your horizons. I don't want you to be thinking that Chester is the only city that you ever going to live in. I need you to get that runway started, bro. Clear it out. You feel me? Like, because you need space to take off. You might get your wheels from this person, your wings from this person, your engine from this person, your brakes from this person, right? And get in that joint and take off, please, please. So, uncomfortable conversation. That segment is done. Truth or triggered. Truth or triggered is another segment we're welcoming into the uncomfortable conversations. We'll start with the truth. Many of us choose partners who remind us of our parents for better or for worse. Would you agree with that?
I think there's some truth to that.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I always pick women, not to say they were needy, but that needed something. You feel me? Because I didn't have a problem with giving something. I never, and they might say I wasn't needy, but that's denial, for real, for real. I always picked the woman that, maybe that was my issue. I picked her because she needed me, not because she wanted me. And I stayed, and I helped, and I was there, right? And things didn't work out the way I wanted them to work out, but, you know, that's because I wasn't healthy. I was looking for the wrong partner.
Wow, that's deep. I'm gonna share since you shared. I'm not going to get too emotional, but I will say I picked avoidant people that could not accurately express themselves. And I feel like that's why I communicate the way I do now, because I feel like I once was someone that had so much to say, but was an avoidant myself because of certain things that I did not heal from when I was a little bitty girl. And I know that rejection wound, having a mother wound, that really impacted me deeply. And then, growing up again, me and my father are very close, but, my dad wasn't a warm and fuzzy person. So that, that was tough at times. And I realized that both of those dynamics impacted me a great deal. But the thing is, instead of being angry about it, it's like I just try to be better for it. So I realized, again, we are all shaped by our experiences. Because I used to be angry about a lot of different things. If this was this way, I'd have been this way, or this, that, and the third. I can't go back to when I was a little girl. I can't go back to before I got married. I can't go back. All I can do is go forward. So instead of being angry about experiences, I feel like every situation that we go through is an opportunity for growth, whether it's a good situation or a bad situation. And as I said on many of these podcasts, that I really look at people, I evaluate people differently now based off of their experiences and their capacity based off of their experiences or lack thereof experiences. And it really, like I said, plenty of times before, it allows me to have grace. It allows me, to have grace, for my mother, even though I don't talk to her. It allows me to have grace for my father, which I used to be like, Dad, he's not affectionate enough. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad I learned that, because some people walk around and they have a chip on their shoulder saying, well, my mom wasn't this to me, my dad wasn't this to me. And yes, you are entitled to have your feelings, but the thing is, don't stay in there. Don't stay in those feelings. And it's like, at some point, whatever you didn't get as a child, whatever you didn't get here, there, anywhere, at some point it's like, all right, I didn't get this. Yes, it hurt. Yes, I was sad. Yes, I felt neglected. Yes, I felt misunderstood. Whatever the emotion is, allow yourself to feel it. Don't stay there. And don't let it enable you. Don't let that be something that cripples you when it comes to relationships, whether it's with your children, whether it's with your family, whether it's with a potential spouse, or if you're married, because sometimes we allow that trauma to bleed on people that it's like at the end of the day, it's like somebody didn't do something. It's your responsibility to do the work to heal from it, even if it wasn't your fault. And most people, might be like, well, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't your fault. But unfortunately, you got to do the work to get over it.
Yes. And that's the problem, right? No one wants to say what their issue is. I don't know if that is a bad thing. I don't know if we'll ever get over that, right? A lot of people, have a lot of different issues in our community, and you just want things aren't just going to magically fix themselves.
Well, let's go back to the culture of, the Black community about, think about this saying that we all heard. What goes on in this house stays in this house. Right. And even me at 42 years old, I know that, my dad is a very private person. He probably hates the fact that I'm so vocal about certain things. Right. I'm sure. But this is who I am. And I felt like if I was like this a lot younger, maybe I would have avoided certain choices. I listen to my voice over anybody else's voice when it comes to certain things. Do that mean I can't listen to others? No, I can listen to others. However, if you think that you're going to be able to overtalk me or make me feel like what I feel doesn't matter, it's a no. Those days are over. But I think it's power in, speaking your truth. It's power in using our voice. And again, I know some people are private. Some people just, don't like expressing themselves, or maybe they don't have the tools to do so. But I really hope that one day that people realize that, sometimes when you're just like, okay, I'm not going to say nothing, it's not helping the situation. Like, you thinking, okay, I'm going to be quiet about it. If it's something that's really bothering you, if it's something that needs to be spoken on, regardless if it makes people involved uncomfortable, speak on it, because there is healing in speaking your truth. And, when you speak your truth, you might make a few enemies, but you'll feel better.
The truth leads you to where you're supposed to be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, right? When you start speaking the truth, people get scared.
Facts.
Because now they have to, I'm not saying speak the same way, but they have to lead with their truths. I try my best to lead with the truth, right? There have been things in my life that I don't like to talk about. There have been things in my life that I didn't do correctly. And I want to put that out there, right? I don't want anybody to think I'm sitting here from being a perfect person, because I'm not, right? I don't want anybody out here to think I don't care about others' feelings or other situations, because I do. I just want to be able to share, right? And share correctly and share properly and not, play with anyone. So, triggered. When you recognize toxic traits in your partner that mirror what you saw at home, are you triggered?
Okay, I want to answer that. So, I will say, my current partner reflects the healed version of myself. So again, of course, he's not perfect, because nobody is, and I'm not perfect, but I have not recognized any toxic traits. But I'm sure he has some, and I know I have some too still, but I just feel like they're not so surface level, like, because I've done so much work. But I'm not going to say I'm so healed that I can't be triggered to do certain things.
Right.
However, the thing is, because I know myself, self-awareness is key. I try to keep myself out of environments that's going to bring me to a place where I'm going to go low. I try to not associate with people that's going to make me be low vibrational. So the things that I was attracted to when I was really, really displaying very, very toxic behaviors, I'm no longer even attracted to or connected to, because it's not aligned for me anymore.
Right.
But we all have toxic traits. No matter if you go to church, you go to therapy, nobody's perfect on here. So I want to say that even though I talk about, healing, growing, evolving, therapy, I still can have my moments. But the fact is, because I know that, I just really try to surround myself with people that do not bring certain parts or make me want to go back to certain parts that I didn't try to throw in the trash or threw in the trash. I ain't trying to dig it back up.
I didn't really see a lot of toxicity in my house. The arguments were typically over my mom and my father, the way my father treated me. My mom wanted kid gloves. My dad wanted, fists. So I really didn't see a lot of toxicity. What I saw was love. So I was always trying to give that. You feel me? Like, I was always trying to be that. So I tried my best to love people, even through their traumas, even through the things that they don't want to announce or pronounce or go get help for. Right? I try to love them through that situation. And maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe that's where I could be seen as a simp or a wimp, right? Because I'm not trying to leave anyone, and I allow people to be them. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't like that. So, if it's anything, that's where I'm triggered now. that I realized that I can't fix you. You gotta want to fix yourself. As bad as I want this relationship to work, as bad as I want you to understand who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to talk and what you're supposed to give, as bad as I want that, I'm realizing now that that's not my mission. It's not my church. It's not where I'm supposed to be. You feel me? And to walk away is hard, right? To walk away from someone you thought you would be in a relationship with, or walk away from someone that you love. You know, because no one is saying I don't love you because I walk away. I'm just saying I love myself more, right? The things that I'm supposed to receive, the things that I'm supposed to see, the things that I'm supposed to give is more valuable to me than it has ever been to you. So, you know, I think that's where I'm triggered, right? And that's basically what I do.
Can I add something real quick?
Go ahead.
So I want to go back to toxic traits. Some people think toxic is just, okay, screaming, hollering, cursing. No, toxic could also be avoidant behaviors. And I will say this, growing up, like, I didn't grow up in a dysfunctional home where there was screaming, hollering, cursing, or nothing like that. Nah, it wasn't that. But I realized growing up that in my family, we wouldn't talk about things. So when you're just like, you know, there's some shit that's wrong, and everybody's like, mom is the word, I ain't talking about it. Like, that's toxic. Mm-hmm. Like, if you know there's an elephant in the room, everybody knows. And it's like, nobody's speaking on certain things, or like giving the silent treatment. I think that's toxic too. Now, sometimes you might have a disagreement with a family member, a spouse, a friend, and you might need to cool off, and you're like, okay, right now I know I'm not in a good space, so I don't want to have this conversation right now. But if you deliberately like going days and weeks and without speaking to someone, knowing that there's an issue that needs to be resolved, or you're like, you know, denying like affection, or like just being cold to somebody. You say you love them, but you're mad, so you kind of just giving them the ice treatment, like the ice cold treatment. Like, that's toxic. So I want to speak on that, because I used to be that. I used to be someone, I may not scream and holler and curse at you, but I just want to talk to you. And I mean, my silence is really loud. Mm-hmm. And I used to think, oh, well, I'm not cussing you out, so I'm in the right. Just because I didn't use cuss words didn't mean that I'm not tearing you down if I'm using a certain tone with you. Just because I'm choosing, like, all right, I'm not going to talk to this person. But if I know that there's a conversation that needs to be had and I'm not talking, and I'm ignoring you trying to talk to me and I'm ignoring you, that was toxic. So, a lot of people go through that. Toxic does not just mean, oh, I'm screaming, I'm hollering, I'm physically abusive or whatever. No, it could be that avoidant behavior. It could be that, denying somebody affection, attention. That's toxic. That's
definitely toxic, right? And I think there are tons of words that become new words, right? Mm-hmm. Diabolical, right? Gaslighting, you feel me? Like, and people really don't know the definition of these words that they're using, but they throw them out there because they're what people are saying, right? And you can't, and I tell people all the time, don't judge a book by the cover. What someone is saying about someone doesn't necessarily mean that's how that person is. That's how that person was for them, right? And a lot of the traits that we carry, a lot of the traumas that we carry, come from how those things were used against us. And you can't really judge a book by the cover. You got to get to know the book. You got to get inside the book and read the book for yourself, right? So that's what I try to do. I don't care what your issue was with them. I want to get to know them too. You feel me? Now, if I find out that they're doing the same thing, all right, that's who they are, right? But you got to get to know people. You feel me? You can't just go off what someone else says.
I want to say something about that too, because the thing is, like, how people are like, oh, I treat everybody the same. Like I said this before, I don't treat everybody the same. And I would be lying if I said that, because some people bring out different sides of you. Some people bring out the best in you, and some people bring out the red devil in you. You know what I'm saying? And people don't be wanting to say that, but based on the environment, based on, what kind of qualities that person has, it may, you be like, dang, I don't usually be cussing like this. But this person, I don't know what is about them. They get under your skin, and next thing you know, you cussing. And then another person be like, I ain't never hear her cuss. Because when I'm around that person, they don't give me those vibes that bring that side out of me. So that's why I think it's so important about alignment and having people around that is just, going to see the king or queen in you. Nobody's expecting perfection, but just to make sure that you're not in environments or around people that's going to bring the parts of you that is not good.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Me, I'm different. I give everybody rope. You can help me, pull me up, or you can hang yourself. Either way, it's beneficial to me because I can climb up a dead body. You feel me? Like, I ain't got no problem with that. Or you can lower it down and help me lift myself up. Let's get into our main conversation. Let's unpack this. Parental love. How do we use it? And how does it affect our relationships? In what ways did your relationship with your mother or father affect how you see yourself? Just how you see yourself.
I mean, you asking me that question?
Yeah.
I was about to get deep. So, I feel like, the relationship, like I said, my mom, I don't have a relationship with. But sometimes I feel like I was really, unseen a lot growing up. And even as an adult, misunderstood. And now because of that, that's why I'm such an advocate for self-expression. That's why I'm such an advocate for speaking your truth. And I probably in my small family, I'm probably the most vocal one. I know that, my parents impacted me in some good ways and in some bad ways. That neglect and avoidant behavior, that neglect wound, abandonment wound, that really did a job on me. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like really probably in the last 3 years is really when I really unpacked it.
Right.
But now because I know how it feels to not know how, want to be connected, but not know how to connect because I didn't have certain experiences or whatever, but it has definitely made me be more aware and to know okay, you came, you grew up with certain deficits, but you're not going to allow those deficits destroy any other connections, because I feel like some of my deficits, especially when it comes with connection, it ruined some things for me. But I can't, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's my parents' fault. No, it's not. But I will say that, certain things, I was impacted from, my parents. And a lot of people, don't want to have these conversations, especially if you're a parent, or even if you're not a parent. You want to be able to have conversations and not make people feel uncomfortable. But the only way you can heal from certain things and grow and evolve and heal certain wounds is being accountable. And the thing is, some people are unable to be accountable because, their level of capacity. And when people are unable to be accountable, you still, if you know that this is an area that's a weak spot or something that's a deficit that truly has impacted your social life, your personal life, whatever it is, sometimes we have to forgive people that didn't even ask for forgiveness.
Right.
And that'd be hard because you'd be like, this impacted me and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. And you be wanting that apology, baby. Sometimes you're not going to get that apology, but you still need to do the work and forgive anyway. And it's not easy because I've had to do it. I've had to forgive plenty of people that ain't never asked me for a goddamn apology. But at the end of the day, didn't offer me an apology, and they did things that was wrong to me. Right. But at the end of the day, it's like I feel it's freeing myself by saying, hey, even though you did A, B, C, D, E, F, G to me, I'm not going to let that be a hindrance on my personal development. I'm not going to allow that to hinder the connections and relationships that I want to establish in the future or the ones that I have currently. So, I'm really like a firm believer in just because you have trauma when it comes to whether it's abandonment wounds or just, a dysfunctional family, whatever it may be, you can move past that. But for one, you have to realize that, again, just because you might be on your healing journey, you may have done the work. It doesn't mean that certain people that you're connected with, whether it's by blood or just by relationship, doesn't mean that they've done the work. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to meet you halfway. So you're going to have to make a decision to say, hey, I'm in this phase of my healing journey. I've done this work. Do I have the capacity to still manage this connection with this person? Is it healthy for me? Is it doable?
Right.
And if it's not, then regardless if it's blood or how close you are, if it's not doable, if it's not healthy for you, you got to cut your losses and keep it moving. Still love them. Still give grace. If you're a believer, pray for them, but release them. And make room for the people that can love you and treat you in the way that you deserve.
I think that's important, right? Being able to release people, right, and not holding them hostage or captive while you're trying to figure out your way. We
sometimes hold because of our trauma, though.
Like I said, you feel me? That's where I'm at over on this side, right? I'm dealing with the traumas of growing up, right, and how I picked. I'm not gonna say picked the wrong people. I was the wrong person. You feel me? So they picked me. I was the wrong person. I was heavy in my trauma. I wore it like a badge of honor. I've been hurt before. I've been abandoned. I've been neglected. Nobody cared, right? I until I learned to just put it down. It doesn't have to be so heavy. I had a conversation the other day where we were talking about the strength of a man, and I was saying, the strength of a man is not about how much he can lift, it's how much he can carry on his way, right? And when you realize that you're carrying a lot of traumatic weight, when you sit it down, everything else becomes easier. When you stop doing things because that's what you learned how to do or that's how you cope with things, right? Life becomes so much easier. So, I just tell all the men out there, bro, like, until you fix you, until you know what you want. And some men already know. Some men are staunch on saying, this is what I want, this is what I deserve. I don't care about anything else. I'm not talking to you. If you feel like therapy doesn't apply, let it fly. If you feel like therapy can't work for you, like you're too much of a man to be able to acknowledge the pain and the hurt that you felt when you were a kid, or that's a sensitive area for you, you don't have to, you keep doing you, because I'm hoping that life will continue to give you the blessings that you deserve. The other men that are dealing with life and trying to understand it, right? Get help, because you can't what?
You can't heal what you don't reveal.
You can't heal what you don't reveal. Do we repeat what we saw growing up, or do we run from it?
This topic. Sometimes we repeat lessons that we do not learn from. So the thing is, it's like, if you don't get out of that cycle, you don't get out of that matrix by changing your environment, changing your mindset. And I think quite a few podcasts I say, just because you grew up a certain way and certain things was instilled in you, if it is no longer aligned with your core values, if it doesn't feel good, let that shit go. I don't care if your mama taught you, your daddy taught you, your grandma taught you, and you may love them to pieces, but let that shit go. And some people might be mad for me to saying that. I like, because sometimes we pass on generational trauma, because we're repeating cycle after generation after generation after generation. At some point, it's like, who's going to break that shit? Who's going to break it?
It's usually the black sheep. It's usually the black sheep of the family, right? That ends up breaking it. And that's cool. I don't know if I've repeated any cycles that I learned because, I was teaching myself. And there were traumas out there in the street that I was learning from, right? So it wasn't necessarily my mom and my dad that gave me my traumas. It was everything else that I allowed myself to do. It was the running around. It was the playing in the street. It was the not having any rules. There's a commercial on. It used to come on. There was Little Caesars when the boy was like, "There's no rules," and then he was like, "Oh, there are rules." Right? That was what happened when I went to therapy. I was walking around with no shirt on. There was no rules until I went into therapy and understood and put things down and sat things down and examined things and cleaned up my room, where I understood there are rules to life, right? And there are rules to loving people. And you can't just walk around and think like there are no rules. So, I don't think I really repeated what I saw growing up. I think I was repeating. No, I can't say. I don't think I repeated what I saw growing up in my house. I was repeating what I saw growing up in the street.
Gotcha.
And that's where, I had to get help and fix that.
I got a key point before I forget.
Go ahead.
So I also always say that we often attract at our level of esteem or our wounds. And when I look back, I can look back at every relationship I had probably up to like the last 2-3 years. I can say, wow, a lot of my friendships, I'm not going to say like romantic because I was married for a while, but even some of my platonic friendships, I'm like, wow, she got a mother wound, I got a mother wound. Mm-hmm. We both was abandoned by our mom. Right. We both got this issue. And I'm like, damn. And I started going down the list, and I'm like,
you'd be surprised.
It's like a pattern. And
you don't even acknowledge it when it's happening when you're when you're a child. So most of my friends, fathers passed away or fathers weren't in their lives. Mm-hmm. So, I see that, right? Very rare. If I had a friend whose father was there, I tried to get close to the father. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, yo, I need this in my life. Like, look, I'll always walk up to him, talk to him. You feel me? Try to get some information from him. And there were a few friends that took that personal. Like, I got my dad. Why you over here in my dad's face? Like, I'm asking him a couple of questions. Why you not asking him these questions? Right. So yeah, I know that happens, right? We're all affected by something. Same thing with women that are in abusive relationships, or they often congregate together, mm-hmm. right? Then they get, because your voice is louder when you're in a situation with other people that are dealing with the same thing. So if you're dealing with people that aren't dealing with the same thing you're dealing with, then your voice becomes mute, right? And then no one really cares. So if you're in a situation where all the women are okay with their men cheating and you don't like it, you got to go find somewhere where women are talking bad on men. You feel me? You can't do that in that situation. Listen, this is what it is. If you're in a situation with a whole bunch of men and their women are cheating, it's the same thing.
And I want to say something else, because I always say we attract at our level of self-esteem in our wounding. And I think about like how I've attracted in the past. Like, it's crazy. Like, to sit back and evaluate your relationships and say, wow, this person had this wound, I had this wound, and at the end of the day, that's why we had a crash collision. It wasn't because this is a bad person or I'm a bad person, but when you have those wounds and you both have those same wounds, and it's one thing if you have those wounds and you're actively in therapy and you're aware, but when you have no awareness, it's like a crash course. It's like you playing Russian roulette. And it took me literally to be cracked open at 40 to realize these things. Because I'm like, why do I keep on hitting certain walls? And again, I was not always the accountability queen. I could be like, yo, it's not my fault. It's this person's fault. Something's wrong with them. But at the end of the day, it was like, hey, sis, you need to take accountability for your actions. You also have to go back to the root. Mm-hmm. You can't heal the tree if you don't go to the root first.
People are scared of the root. People
the root
are scared
is painful,
of the bottom of the tree, bro.
And this is why it's like, again, you know how many times people have said, you share too much, or you're doing too much. Guess what? And I'm going to keep on doing too much because I know that what I'm saying, whether anybody admits it, some of the stuff that I say, a lot of the stuff I say hits home, and a lot of people wish that they had the courage to speak their truth. And again, I always say, I'm no victim of anything I've been through, even the things that weren't my fault. I'm not a victim. I'm a victor.
Right.
At the end of the day, because everything that I've experienced, whether it be good or bad, has shaped me into the wonderful woman I am today. So I don't have, any regrets, even on the poor choices I've made. It's no regrets. It's all about growing, learning. And I feel like, why would I be here? The Lord allowed me to live to be 42. I hope to live to be a very old lady.
Yes.
As long as I have breath, I want to take the things that I've experienced, the good and bad. If I can help somebody along the way, that's all. That's what life is about. Helping others, teaching others.
I know, like life deals you a hand sometimes that you don't see yourself winning. Life can smack you, life can beat you down. Like life can be hard sometimes, and I get it. I do, trust me. But if you stay in that hurt space, if you stay in that space of not trusting, if you stay in that space of being a pessimist, life will continue to give you what you're thinking about, what you're dealing with, right? So I wanted different, so I had to start thinking different. I needed different, so I had to start seeing different. I wanted different, so I had to start giving different. And when I did that, the world opened up for me. Right. So, I get it. Everybody does their own thing. And I understand that. And I'll never judge anybody based off of what they're doing because God gave you free will. If you decide to do something, then that's what you decide to do. I'm not mad at you. If it's against me, then it's not something I can stand with or stand next to. If it's against somebody else, I can tell you about it and hopefully you can change that behavior. But without changing yourself, you're not changing your outcome. You're going to continue to get what you're getting right now. So do you glean a lot of that from your parents? Yes. Majority of how you deal with life comes from your parents, right? Your adolescent life, right? 1 through 7, right? Everything that you do, the love that you received, the love that you were given, the way that you were talked to, the way they showed you, the way they gave to you, all of that stuff leads to how you deal with things as an adult. And you're like, no, that's not real. Think about it. Just be real with me for like 10 minutes. Go back to when you were a kid. Think about how your mom loved you. Think about how your dad loved you. And look at your partner and look at your situation right now and say, does this add up to that? And if it does, then it does. If it doesn't, then you learned it from somewhere else. Now you got to figure out, where did I learn this from? Is it from my friends? Did I learn this from being with this clique of girls that were okay with doing this? Did I learn this from being with this clique of guys that were okay with doing that? Like, what is happening? And until you're able to come to the realization that, you brought in some energy that you were not willing to accept, or you were not willing to give your full attention to, you just allowed it to keep going. That's life.
Oh man, now this made me think of something. Like, oftentimes our partners, even our friendships, let's just say partners, are like if you're married or in a relationship, usually reflect us, reflect our wounding or our healing. So if you are always ending up in a dysfunctional situation, instead of pointing a finger, it all circles back to you. And oftentimes it's like we be so stuck in the thick of things, we can't see outside of ourselves. And that'd be hard because nobody wants to say, wow, I keep on being in these dysfunctional situations because I'm dysfunctional.
Boy.
It's hard.
Boy.
It's hard. Accountability is not for the faint at heart, but that's the only way you grow. That's the only way you grow. That's the only way you get the things that you desire in this life. It's not easy, though.
It's definitely not easy. I don't want anyone to think that it's easy. I don't want anyone to think that I changed like that, because I'm still going through it. Right? I'm still learning how to not do the same things that I was doing. Yeah, inch by inch, I take it. And for some people, it's not fast enough. You know, for others, it's too fast. For some people, I haven't moved an inch. You feel me? Like,
that's real.
And that's how you view it. I view it differently, right? I had to change how I looked at people, how I judged people, how people saw me. And it was not easy. To be somebody that came from the street, to be somebody that I've done so many things in relationships, according to girlfriends, according to friends, according to just me, just being me, right? Being hurt, being upset, being mad, being frustrated, bro. I've done so many things. When I went upstate in 2007, bro, like, I think that was when I realized that I didn't want to continue being the person that I was. Because the person that I was always going to come up here and be in this space. So I had no other choice but to change. But what really changed me, and it's not that I don't love my daughters. I love my daughters. I had to provide for my daughters, but my son was born. So understand what I saw. I saw a young man being born, and his father was lost. His father didn't know what he was doing. His father didn't know who he was hurting. His father was loving the wrong way. His father was using. So I didn't want to be that person, right? I didn't want to give my son that energy. So I had to change. And it's not because I didn't love my daughters. It was because I realized how wrong I was. And then I saw my son. My son is going to emulate me. He's gonna follow me. He's gonna be like me. And I didn't want him to go through that. So I had to change. And if you're a man and you have children behind you, you have a son behind you, and you think that you ain't supposed to change, check him out in 20 years. And see him doing the same thing that you were doing. See him living the same way that you were living. Why? Because you didn't want to change. You did, even if it's just one little offset. Like if you think about a sniper, an inch off, he'll miss his target. Right? You don't have to change. You don't have to do a whole 180. You could do a 160. You're not in the same position you were in when you started. And that's what we talk about when we talk about uncomfortable conversations, is us sitting here telling you how important it is for you to want to change your life, how important it is for you to.
You can't heal what you don't reveal.
So if you're not excited about revealing your story, if you're not excited about revealing what hurts and when you're hurt and how you're hurt, then you're not excited about healing. I'm excited about healing. I'm excited about getting that 12-year-old boy up and dusting him off and saying, all right, bro, I'm sorry. You feel me? This is me 24, 34 years later coming to myself and saying to myself, I fucked up. I didn't do it right. I was learning from this person, that person, and this person over here, and doing all these things that really didn't give me any value. I want everyone to receive value from me moving forward in this situation. And like I said, I can apologize to everybody I've hurt. All of my children's mothers. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Right? I was wrong. Any friends that I've hurt, any family members that I've hurt, I was wrong. We can have a conversation. We can sit and I don't have no problem with having a conversation with anybody. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Now, what would you like me to do to fix it? If I can't fix it, then why are you still mad about it? How do we stop normalizing dysfunction as love, right? I think I stopped normalizing dysfunction as love when I held myself accountable for what I was doing. Again, I didn't learn this from my mother and father. I learned it from, the elders in the street, the people that were above me. They were still kids. They were dealing with other traumas. They were dealing with other things. Everybody always looks at P and says, man, you had it everything. You had your dad till I was 12. If I would have had my dad till I was 24, give me 12 more years with him, I would have been great, awesome. But that's not the life that God wanted for me. He wanted me to go through these things. That's where I'm at now. I understand, like I had to go, I had to learn, I had to do it, I had to see it, I had to be it. So I could understand how to give it back to the children. So I could understand where to block them at, where not to I've done it all. But now I'm standing here as an example for them. What can happen if you just put your mind to something? So I stopped normalizing dysfunction as love by going to therapy. How about you, Drea?
I would probably say my answer is similar to yours. But I started therapy at a very young age. I was about 23 and a half when I was just like, there's some things I need to work through, and I need to talk to somebody. And I remember that day like it was yesterday, and I had that conversation with my father. It's like one day, and I said, hey, I'm going to therapy. And my dad said, isn't that what crazy people go to? At that moment, I was so appalled and so offended. And from there, I was just like, you know what? And it made me think about like the stigma with mental health and Black people. I was a little upset with my dad, but then I realized, again, we growing up in different times. And again, the type of household he grew up in, and, everything is so different now. So I realized, again, I had to do what I needed to do for myself. Mm-hmm. So I did therapy. Did I do therapy consistently all this time? No. There were certain times, certain life-changing events, certain things I went through. I'm like, okay, I took a break from therapy. Let me get back in. But, therapy definitely, made me look at myself, my past experiences, my traumas, my lack of accountability in certain areas, my repeating certain cycles, me attracting certain things, me just, holding on too tight when some things needed to be let go, all types of things. But again, I regret nothing. I'm glad that I did start therapy at 23 and a half. And even though I didn't consistently go, I introduced myself to it. Nobody said, hey, girl, you need to go to therapy. I said I needed to go to therapy. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, too. When you know better, you do better. Boy. So if you come from a place where it's like dysfunctional, you didn't see, proper affection or whatever the situation may be, it's like if you want to be different, then you got to go outside and get that help, whatever it may look like. And again, everybody might not want to go to therapy. And again, I advocate for therapy, but, there's other things that, you can do. I mean, maybe if you don't feel comfortable talking to someone, maybe, I don't know, if you like to journal, maybe you need to journal. Again, I will say on my healing journey, I've done so many different things. I've done Reiki, I've done meditation, I've done the sound bowls. I've done a lot of different things, therapy. But at the end of the day, I feel like you got to find out what's best suits you, because it's not one shoe fits all. Everybody's different.
It's not. Everybody is different, and that's the thing, right? You go in, you try your shoes on, you find out your shoe size, and now you can buy accordingly.
Facts.
Right. You might not have no traumas from your parents, but it might be traumas from the street. It might be traumas from the outside. It might be traumas from your grandmother or your aunts or your uncles, right? But talking about those traumas help you heal. Again, you can't heal what you don't reveal. And we will keep saying that. I think that's the motto of this podcast. Mm-hmm. Uncomfortable conversations. Yes, there are tons of uncomfortable conversations happening in the world, but we're having them right here, right? And if you want to be a guest, hit us up, man. Give them the email, man, because we got an email now, don't we?
Yes, we do, and we have an email, and we have
IG page.
a IG page. So let me pull it up real quick.
Oh man, you slipping.
So our IG is, hold on. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's _uncomfortable_conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say it again. _uncomfortable_conversations with an S. And the email, if you don't have Instagram or you don't, we want you please to follow the IG page. But if you want to email, you can click on the email and it'll give the email, but I'm going to give you an email as well. So the email is abrown@uncomfortableconversation.net. Again, the email is abrown, @uncomfortableconversation.net. So that email is pretty much like, hey, maybe you don't be on Instagram like that. Maybe you have a topic that you want to, for us to talk about. Maybe you want to be a guest. Maybe you actually have some suggestions for how we can, zhuzh up the show or make it poppin' more or whatever. We're open to just feedback, because this is for the community. This is about healing. This is about evolving. This is just about being our best selves. So anything that, you can contribute, you can holler at me through email. I just put the email out there, or, the Instagram page.
Mm-hmm. Please, listen, we can't do our job without your help, right? CMPradio.net is a local internet radio station. We just got kicked off of Facebook. So Facebook's been playing with us recently, so now we're on YouTube, strictly on YouTube. That's going to end up happening. You let things happen the way they happen, right? We were still live, and I don't know what happened, so I got to see. I got to go into that and check that out. But let's continue with this main conversation. We are unpacking the ways that our parental units, remember that? What was that? Coneheads? Parental units? Mm-hmm. The way that our parents, the traumas that we got from our parents or from our other adults that were in our lives. And this is the final question for Unpack That. What can healing from our parental relationships teach us about becoming better partners and better parents ourselves?
You go first.
I think healing from the trauma of abandonment, right? You feel me? That allowed me to be there more for my children, to talk to my children. One thing about me, I'm not saying this is the type of father I am. I can be hard, right? But I can also be soft. But I give my kids a place to speak. Right? I want them to understand that they have to be able to talk to get what they want, right? They have to be able to communicate how they're feeling, right? To make sure things don't continue to happen. Speak up. Talk to me. Come talk to me. Bring me the issues. Now, I was married. I had 3 children. During that marriage, I cheated. I cheated a lot. I did a lot of things. So my children, my oldest children, feel some type way, right? Now, from those cheatings, from those situations, I have 5 other children or 4 other children. They don't feel any type way about their brothers or sisters, right? They feel some type way about what I did, right? So I had to be accountable to my kids. I had to talk to my kids. I had to let them come and talk to me and tell me how they felt, because I didn't want my daughters to think that's what a man was supposed to do. And I didn't want my son to see that's what a man is supposed to do either, right? So talking to them over the last 5 or 6 years, I've learned different things, right, from each one of them. And I know I also will have to talk to my younger children, right? So I leave the door open for conversation. And that was something that I'm doing different than my parents, because it was just do. I don't want to hear what you got to say, right? It was, children, the perfect place for a child is to be seen and not be heard, right? That was the thing that was going on when we were children. So I have learned, I've taken from my mother her unconditional love and my father's sternness to be a stern, loving, unconditional parent, right? And how does that work? By setting the boundaries, by telling them what I expect from them, but also giving them a place to come and talk to me about how they feel. That's my answer.
Okay, so I feel like, now say the question again.
What can healing from our parental relationships teach us about becoming better partners or parents? And as a partner, my mom and dad had the perfect relationship. So I've been trying, but, trauma, bro. Like, it's not just me. I'm not the only person that's dealing with trauma. And if I go to therapy and I fix what I'm doing, you got to go too.
Right.
And ain't no need in us sitting here and talking about something if you're not willing to go in there and reveal what's wrong with you, why you feel this way. Why is this so stern? Why are you so upset? Why are you so mad? Why are you so frustrated? We need to talk to somebody. Alcohol ain't going to solve it, bro. I tell people that all the time. I tried to kill myself, literally, drinking. And it didn't solve anything. I said, I'm still going to be here. You want to continue to drink to the point where I need kidney transplant, I need this, I need that, because I abused it? No, I had to quit. I had to stop. Y'all know. Y'all used to watch the show, sitting up here with a bottle of Jameson, getting drunk, talking, and y'all was watching. And it was cool. But then when I started to change and I started to understand what I was doing to myself and my image, you feel me? People started to judge. So
I think healing from my traumas, it helped me to connect better with others, attract better romantically and platonically. It also helped me to have firmer boundaries. It actually helped with me having a high level of self-worth. So I feel like healing the wounds from my childhood actually helped me to transform.
That's dope. That's definitely dope. I just want to thank everyone that tuned in. I know we got kicked off of Facebook. We're going to understand that. And if we got to go live to YouTube, that's just what it is, right? cmpradio.net. But the final segment is journal prompt. Tonight's journal prompt is simple, but it's very powerful, right? And I want you to write inside this journal, how did my parents' relationship with each other shape the way I love today?
That's a good one.
And do I want to continue in that pattern or change it? See, I want to continue in that pattern. I wasn't in that pattern. I blocked all that stuff out. I remember my mom and dad just dancing in the hallway, right? Loving on each other. I remember feeling like that was life. Like that's what I was gonna have. Then I ran outside and bumped my head a few times. Then I got dizzy and I didn't know what was up or down or left or right. But I see it now, right? And I don't know if it's too late for me to ever have that type of love, right? The type of love that builds you up, the type of love that pushes you, the type of love that believes in you, the type of love that won't turn their back when you don't do what you're supposed to do. See, that's what my mom and dad had, right? They loved each other. They saw growth in each other. They saw opportunity in each other. And if you don't see that in your partner, if you don't see growth, if you don't see opportunity, and all you see is what you see right now, and that's all you ever going to see, then that's not your partner.
Thanks.
That's a placemat.
Well, I never got to see a healthy marriage in my family ever. So I want to be the exception. I failed at one marriage. So I hope the next one will be the one. And I plan on being the one to destroy all the generational curses, all of those things that's been passed on from generation to generation. I plan on being the curse breaker. And I'm saying this as a timestamp because I'm going to do it.
Like I said, I don't do this stuff because I have all the answers. I'm doing all this stuff because I need the answers. And sometimes you need people to walk with you while you're figuring out what you're supposed to do. But I need everyone to be walking with me looking for help. I don't need nobody saying, I ain't going to therapy, I don't want that. Nah, then get away from me. Truly. No disconnect. I don't dislike you. I'm not mad at you. I know what I need. I need help. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Because if I didn't receive help, I'd still be out here slanging. And that's not a good thing. It's definitely not a good thing. So, these conversations aren't easy, but they are necessary. And we can't build healthy love without first understanding the blueprint we were given.
Thanks.
And if that blueprint was broken, it's our responsibility to fix it ourselves for the next generation.
Thanks.
Thank you for rocking with us on Uncomfortable Conversations with Uncle P and
Drea B.
Remember that growth starts with getting uncomfortable. CMPradio.net, man. I want to thank y'all for tuning in another night, another great episode. Look out for us, man, because this is a podcast, and it's going to be everywhere that podcasts are, right? Download it. Please listen to it. Maybe it'll hit you differently if you're just listening to it. I want everyone out there to understand what can they do, Drea?
You can't heal what you don't reveal, y'all. Y'all gonna get tired of me saying it.
Listen, I don't care if they get tired of hearing it. They'll never get tired of you saying it. Two different things. I want you to understand how important you are. How important you are to your children, how important you are to your community, how important you are to your partner. Talking to your partner, expressing how you feel about situations do not need to turn into arguments. An uncomfortable conversation is not an argument. You're just telling them how you feel. Now, when you get to arguing, your voice goes up. And I'm going to give you a quick indication to a man that you do not respect me. If I'm saying something and you cut me off to say what you got to say, what I have to say doesn't even matter. There's only so many times you're going to be able to do that before a man just completely says, do it your way. He'll sit right there and watch you do it your way. He'll walk away and let you do it your way. He don't got a problem with that, right? Because he knows there's no respect in that situation. So if you want somebody to understand you, to love on you, to give you, to do for you, to help you, to let you see, show some respect. Just have a conversation. Share your information and allow him to share his. Everything doesn't have to be one way. It's a two-way street. It's you and him, or him and you, or him and him, or her and her, or him, her, and her, him.
You trying to be politically correct? I got you.
Like, it's not funny, right?
I know, but
I am literally trying to figure everybody the fuck out.
I got you.
Right? Because
you got confused. That's why I started
I
laughing.
want everybody to have their position.
Right.
So it could be him, her, him, them, they. All of that. Right? Because I'm not judging anyone. I would just want us to have a healthier relationship. And a healthier relationship starts with a healthy relationship with yourself.
Facts.
Loving on yourself. Understanding what you want to see, and being able to stand on that. CMPradio.net, man, it's your boy Uncle P, and this was Uncomfortable Conversations. Drea B's always telling you you can't
heal what you don't reveal.
Realize it. Understand it. Utilize it. Use it in your community. Share it with your family. Share it with your cousins. Share it with your uncles. Share it with your aunts. Share it with your nephews. Share it with your nieces. Share it with your mom. Share it with your dad. Share it with everyone. Because it's real. CMPradio.net.